everyone. We are honored to be joined by Maithili Kumar, the visionary founder and artistic director of the Abhinaya Dance Company of San Jose. Her work has brought the beauty and depth of Indian classical dance to hundreds of students and audiences. She is trained in Bharatanatyam, Kuchipudi, and Odissi. She is a beloved teacher, a celebrated performer, and a courageous cultural leader whose impact continues to ripple far beyond the stage. Her career has earned her numerous national and regional honors for her artistic excellence. So namaste, Maithili ji. Thank you so much for taking the time. I'm honored to speak with you today.
Namaste, and thank you for those kind words. It's really a wonderful pleasure for me to be here speaking with you.
I wanted to first say many congratulations on 45 years of Abhinaya. Could you tell our listeners just a little bit about the journey of Abhinaya? I know you had initially come to the United States in 1978 as a Rotary International Ambassador to study nutrition at UC Davis. What motivated you then to create Abhinaya? Why did you decide to, cultivate this company?
So when I came in 1978 as a Rotary International Scholar, they had selected me in Hyderabad as a, for academic pursuits as well as being a cultural ambassador. So, you had to be good in both in order to be selected for this fellowship. So I got the fellowship, which was, I'd already done a master's in nutrition in India. So this was like another superfluous, let's say, master's that I did. But it's also to experience academic life in the US, right, which is different from India. So I did that, and I was also, trying to dance. So I danced. My first performance was in UC Davis, actually, wherever the Rotary person who's, I guess, the family who was my Rotary sponsor there in Davis. They are the ones who arranged the first concert there. And then I had a performance here in the Republic Day. And so the following year, I got married to my husband. I met him in 78 only when I came here. So when I came back here, I had been performing professionally in Hyderabad. That was where my dance took off. I had it was a smaller place than, the other Bombay and Delhi where I'd originally come from. And so I got a lot of opportunities, and I was using my own orchestra and doing a lot of new compositions. So I was dancing professionally and doing almost 2 or 3 performances a month. And then when I came here, there was probably 2 or 3 performances a year if I was lucky. And I still had to go find it myself, meaning I would call somebody and say, hey, are you, having something? Is there something I can perform? And so I tried to go to Pittsburgh, to New York, here and there where I knew people and go and perform. But it was very, very minimal. So in 1980, when a group of friends whose children were like 7, 8 years old, they came and said, hey, Bharatanatyam, you want to, teach. It seemed like the perfect thing to do in order to be in touch with the art, in order to, impart the art, and also make myself known essentially in the community. If you're in a narrow space yourself, when your students are the ones who actually spread the word around and make you a little more well known, right? So that's the reason why I started teaching in 1980 in a very small way in somebody's garage. There were 6 students. In fact, one of the students who joined me in 1980 is going to perform in our show coming in this 45th anniversary. It was in her mom's garage that I started teaching. And then within a year or so, I increased it a little bit, and then started calling it named it the Abhinaya School of Dance. So that's how it became the School of Dance. And I think what happened was in 1983, I had my first students Arangetram. This girl had already learned from somebody. So it wasn't like she just had 3 years of training. She had already learned. So, she was in the right, she just came and she learned pieces from me and she redid her style and then she was ready to perform. So she performed her Arangetram. The community was very thrilled because I had utilized all the local musicians. My husband was a musician himself with a lot of musician friends. So we got them all to do, live orchestra for this Arangetram. And it was, very well received. And that kind of set the, pace, basically. The next year we had 2 more Arangetrams, and the year after that we had more Arangetrams. And in 1984, after I had my first baby, my first Rasika, I decided, so there were some people who came and said, why aren't you doing a tour? There are others doing a tour of the US and all that. Why don't you do that? So I took upon that big task of, me and my husband would call people all over, and I arranged a 16-city tour of USA and Canada for myself, with the musicians coming all the way from Hyderabad. So got the visas done. It was a big, undertaking at that time, all by yourself, no lawyers, nothing, just yourself and me and my husband taking turns to making phone calls. And, it was really successful. And then it gave you such a sense of achievement and gave you so much, you're becoming well known because of that, right? You're dancing in many places with the musicians, and these are musicians from India, so they were, have a even higher caliber than the local musicians who were just like basically amateur musicians whom we were putting together for our Arangetrams. So that's 1984, 85. Then in 1986, we got our first break at the Ethnic Dance Festival, where we auditioned and my students auditioned and they got selected. It was really thrilling because it was the first time that we were going to perform to not just an Indian audience, but to a diverse audience at the Ethnic Dance Festival. And that got us a lot of, exposure to a different audience. And I think in that Ethnic Dance Festival in 1987 or something, I saw Chitresh Das Ranji also. Chitresh Das Ji, sorry. He also auditioned for a spot. And it was very, very unusual, because when you're coming professionally from India, you never think of you're going to be auditioning for a spot. You just think you're going to be invited. But I saw him auditioning and I said, okay, why not? Why shouldn't I do it? So 1988, I auditioned for a Kuchipudi slot. My students did it for a Bharatanatyam slot, but I did it for a Kuchipudi. And so 2-3 years in a row, I got selected for Kuchipudi solos while they did Bharatanatyam. And so that really expanded it quite a bit. Then 1989, I think I got my first National Endowment for the Arts Choreographers Fellowship, and that made me do my new solo Navarasa theme performance. And somebody who saw it, a grant writer who saw it, who was writing a lot of multicultural grants in San Francisco, he came home and he said, I think you should become a nonprofit organization. You should, go in for bigger grants. You should kind of make it an established institution. So at his, encouragement, I formalized it as the Abhinaya Dance Company of San Jose in 1990. So 10 years after I started as a small garage thing, I became a non-profit organization in 1990. And since then, we got a lot of NEA grants. Local city of San Jose has been supporting us, California Arts Council, and SV Creates, which is the local arts council, Silicon Valley's arts council. So we started getting a whole lot of grants, which, just allowed us to keep creating and keep continuing to, do this dance, solo as well as for my students.
I'm so envious of your journey. It's such a because you created it step by step along those 10 years to become what it is today. It's so illustrious today, but it started with a lot of hard work, and I give you my utmost respect for that, my
Thank you. Thank you.
I wanted to ask, you mentioned the ethnic dance festival is when non-Indian audiences also are exposed to what you were presenting. Did you find that that non-Indian audiences and Indian audiences equally responded to your art back then, or did you have to modify what you were presenting for different audiences?
Well, the Ethnic Dance Festival, it was is a place where you can only do 5 minutes or 10 minutes. So those audiences were, wanting to see a diverse group of dancers from all over the world. And they were happy to see just 5 minutes and 10 minutes. But when I did my show in 1989, the Navarasa show, I produced myself in SF in Victoria Theatre, a smaller theatre, which was there at that time. And it was mostly a non-Indian audience that came there. And I did a regular show, nothing diluted, nothing 10 minutes or 5 minutes. It was a full, like, 2 hour show with the musicians that came from India. I had another tour at that time in 1989 with musicians from India. So I did it with them. And it was really well received. So the solo shows were also well received. I always had a habit in India itself, even in Hyderabad, which was, I think, one of the reasons people liked my performances in Hyderabad was because I was explaining everything. Because nobody, even in Hyderabad, if you're doing Tamil, they don't know Tamil. All of the people in the audience don't know Tamil. If you're doing Telugu, then the Tamil people in the audience don't know that. If you're doing a Hindi piece, the others don't know. So everything depends on understanding the language. So I got into the habit right from 1974, I think, of announcing everything I would do. I would, detailed in a demonstration I would give. And that made it very interesting for anybody who came. They would understand and they'd appreciate every little. It wasn't just watching dance. For them, it was really then, therefore, making sense. What episode I was doing, what was I doing in terms of, elaborating a single line. So that same thing happened here. I continued that even all through my Arangetrams 1983 itself. The first student itself had to do her own demonstration of 5 pieces that she did. She had to explain it all before she did it. And to this day, all the Arangetram students are required to do that. And I've been doing it. And so the audiences were, understanding it a little more. Definitely, the Indian audiences are used to a longer program, and the Western audiences, the mainstream audiences, don't really want to see, like 3-4 hours of a show. But when it's live music, it's very interesting for them to see the relationship and the fact that you're interacting with them so much. So then it really is, it keeps their interest up. So yeah, I don't think I shortened anything for anybody. If I did a piece like a Varnam, I would do the entire Varnam, but I would, as I said, just explain it a little more in detail. And, for everybody, I would explain in detail. Because even the Indian audiences who came here didn't know anything about Indian dance. They all had studied in India and come here to work and pursue a career. So very few of them had actually been exposed to any dance at all. Maybe music, but not dance. I think my husband saw the first dance that he saw was me, I think. I remember him telling me that I think his parents took him to something where Baijantimala was dancing in more than 3,000 audience auditorium. And she was like a speck on the stage, and he was at the back. And that's the only dance he saw before he saw my dance. So that's how the audiences were. The audiences here didn't know much, right? So you have to educate them. So that's what happened. Yeah. And of course, to keep their interest going, I did start doing different themes. I was doing English poetry, especially Chitra Divakaruni's, really poignant poetry about women, women's abuse, and women's treatment, widow treatment, and all that. So I started taking her poetry, which was really, really, very relevant to the people, when they were coming there, they could understand how Bharatanatyam, a traditional dance, instead of just showing just little stories of Krishna and all that, was also showing something more serious, of a serious nature. So that started it, and then in 1995, my board chair was part of a Gandhi Peace Foundation. His family was part of a Gandhi Peace Foundation in Delhi. Professor Sri Harsha. So he suggested that why don't you do something on Gandhi? And then of course I looked at him and said, "Oh, how am I going to do Gandhi?" You know, Gandhi is not even wearing any clothes on. He has a dhoti on. It got me thinking, and then we started putting things together. And I think Gandhi was one of our very, very, very well produced productions in terms of, and also making an impact on the audience. It was very well received. We also included people like Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, and Cesar Chavez, who were influenced by Gandhi, right? So it made, again, local audiences understand the relevance of Gandhi to them as well. So that was, that's how we kept going into different themes other than mythological as well. But mythological also was very interesting to tackle because it wasn't the same pieces that we did. India's literature is vast, so you can still get as many umpteen stories from so many. The more you read, the more you can glean, get stories and episodes and all that nobody has heard of, and tried and present it on stage, and it's still new. So we started increasing our content so that it would be interesting for the audiences, both local and ours, Indian as well as non-Indian.
You mentioned your husband and how he was a musician, and both of your daughters as well, they're carrying the torch of Abhinaya further. If I understand correctly, both of them have choreographed for Abhinaya. They've helmed Abhinaya in their own regards. They've participated in music production for Abhinaya. So how did that happen, and how does it feel to see them grow into these roles and to have your family have such a part in Abhinaya?
I think my husband didn't have a say.
Oh, I see.
So he was just all very supportive. That's the reason. That's the first thing
That's
he was.
awesome.
So he was right from the beginning. He'd been put to, to managing the recordings and the tape recordings or the sound and maybe the lighting. Almost everything he was doing initially, and then after that, when the girls came, I did not directly, never had a private class with them initially for the first. Several years, they were only in a group class, and in a group class, they were one of the better ones. So that itself gave them some encouragement each time, like, hey, especially because they were seeing it more often. It was, more of imbibing so easily rather than others who came once a week or twice a week. They were seeing it almost every day. So in different groups. So they were getting it much faster. And in order to keep their interest up, throughout the 90s, we did shows where they were involved in. For instance, we did a epic emotions show where my oldest daughter, Rasika, she was one of the she was I think she was a Kaurava. So all these little Kauravas and little Pandavas came together. So all the children got a chance to enact these stories. So, and then in 1993, we did something like called My Favorite Story. And I remember Rasika coming as Ali Baba, the chief. Not Ali Baba, but the chief of the thieves. She was coming on a horse and all that. So it made them very interested in continuing to be part of our shows. And then I was doing my own solos as well, separately. So it was like, simultaneously the students and then separately myself as well. And at some point, of course, we came together where when if I had senior students, then I was putting myself in the center, and then they would dance, around me, or I do a solo and then they do a group and things like that. But that made them interested in the dance. And then from Rasika, from 2000, and she went to MIT to dance. After she had done a lot in the 90s, she had got some key roles like Nala and Nala Damayanti, and other roles she was doing. Then she went off to MIT when she came, and she had a lot of experience there, exposure there to other kinds of dances, group dances. So when she came back in 2005 and 2006, she, started doing a lot of group choreography and proved herself to be very good at it, because she would do all this mathematical combinations and combinations. So she was very good at visualizing that for herself as well as for groups. And Malavika, I put her to do Natuvangam very early because Rasika was gone. And so in 2000 itself, she started doing Natuvangam for as soon as she did her
Natuvangam
Arangetam.
isn't easy, by the way, in case any listeners don't know. Natuvangam is hard to do.
It's hard. So she started doing it for me and as a soloist, and then for the dancers, and then for Rasika when she came back in 2006. For whenever she danced, she was doing it for her. For our production, we were taking turns. She was doing a lot of Natuvangam. Now she is. Both of them have two children. Rasika still is working at Google, and Malavika is working as a lawyer. So. But Malvika is in charge of the junior dance company. So the junior dance company is all these high schoolers from, 9th to 12th. They may or may not have finished their Arangetram. Mostly they have not. So it's like pre-Arangetrams, but one or two would have still be done their Arangetram in this 12th grade. So they're still part of the company until they leave for college, right? So she trains them, and she's got a good name because anybody will come and say, hey, junior dance company is dancing. I want to come and see them, because she really drills them extremely well, picks the best company pieces that have been forgotten. In the past, we've done so much over the last 30, 40 years that she'll take, this is a great piece, group piece, and then she'll do it for the company will do it. She'll drill them and they'll come out looking really good. So sometimes my company dancers will say, oh, we don't want to go out to the junior dance company because they have so much energy. So she does that, and then Rasika is starting to develop herself as a soloist. So she's doing more. She was doing a lot of solo productions, and even now she did solo on, on Shakti. It was Unbound, Shakti Unveiled. Basically, how a heroine, not a heroine, a woman turns to goddess Shakti and says, "You are." Kali, basically, you are, you dance with abandon, you have your hair loose, you dance and you're so aggressive and all that. But any other woman who tries to be like that is not allowed to become that way. They're, constantly subdued and saying, no, don't act like this, act more, more, don't act mannish, act more female, feminine. So, she brought that out in her own solo show. And she also does group choreography. But primarily, she's also developing herself as a soloist. She wants to, do things by herself and not be tied down by, what we are. We are doing things with the school, with the students, and doing productions with the students. Whereas, she wants to have a more a senior level group. If somebody comes like that, she likes to work with them, or just do her solos by herself. So she's not having to dance with the younger ones. She used to dance with the younger ones many, many years, but now I think she feels like it's better that she, progresses in a different direction. But she's still dancing at the 45th. She's going to do a solo. And Malavika is also dancing, going to dance as a bit with the junior dance company. She's just getting back to dancing, so after her children, so it's a little hard, but they're both doing it.
That's awesome. I'm sure they'll both do great. I was going to actually ask, would you say the three of you are very different as performers or similar as performers?
No, we are very different. Rasika is very, like I said, she wants to go in a different direction, like in a solo. She's very intense in her emotion and all that. So she does it in that way. Malavika loves the, group, to drill the group and make them dance more and things like that. And she, likes to compose little jatis and here and there for them. So and she dances like that. And mine, I think right now for the last many years, since I had a back surgery about 9 years ago, almost 9 years. Yes, it's been 9 years. I've been kind of tapering down. So I do a lot more Abhinaya pieces. I do one or two. In the last show, I just did one Abhinaya piece, and I just did a cameo role in this last production we had in Draupadi, and I will do one or two Abhinaya pieces in this one. I won't do, hard dancing anyway. So I'm kind of, I would say, tapering down because of whatever my problems. My back problems.
Yeah. I wanted to next say, coming to, as you mentioned, the 45th anniversary concert, what are you most excited for the audience to see? Is there anything in particular you're extremely, looking forward to sharing?
Well, throughout, we are going to present excerpts from our previous productions, right? So Rasika is going to present a piece called Shakuntalam from Kalidasa's Shakuntalam, which was presented as part of our Navarasa, where it was, the Sringara aspect was presented through Kalidasa's Shakuntalam. So she's doing that. And then there's Rasika's choreography that was presented in Love Exquisite, which Malavika and the Junior Dance Company are. It's not Junior Dance Company now, they are ex-Junior Dance Company, alumni who are coming back. And they are doing this Manmata, the Advent of Spring. They're presenting that, which is Rasika's choreography. And then we have over 27 alumni participating in two different pieces in the beginning.
That's really cool.
Which is really a highlight, I
When
think,
you
because
said, but her mother's garage is where you started.
one of them, Padmini, she's actually a deputy director of Global Health Network in the Gates Foundation in Seattle. So she's been all over the world. Actually, she was in the World Health Organization in India and blah, blah, and now she's in the Gates Foundation. So, but she has 3 children, and she was gone at one point. She had wanted to take it as a career when she was in college, early college in Berkeley. But she, obviously those days nobody took dance as a career. It was just nobody wanted to take that risk of taking dance because it would never get you enough to support yourself. So, and so she's very thrilled to come back. So those are the people who are, it'll be nice for the other students to get inspiration from them, to see how they are continuing to dance, even though they have given it up a long time ago. Then I myself am doing a couple of solos. I'm also presenting through videos the journey that I had, which is how I went into one innovation after another, or even within the mythology, how I try to kind of bring in different ideas. And so I'm doing a presentation. So that's going to keep in between every piece, there'll be a video presentation, which I think should be interesting for audiences to know, because they only see pieces. They don't know any history behind anything. So this will present the history of how we came to the composing and doing those pieces, choreographing those pieces. So that I think would be interesting for people.
Yes.
And then, of course, we're going to honor the alumni, recognize their achievements, and recognize achievements of other people like musicians and artists who have helped us all through the years. Our board members since 1990, if they're all willing to come, free to come, and they're still in the area, then we want them to come and share their experiences as to why they were part of Albania for all these in those years.
When you think about the past 45 years of Abhinaya, which is, like I said, no small achievement at all. It's such a big milestone. What are you personally most proud of? Because there's a lot to be proud of, but if you had to pick.
I would say that, in Indian dance, the number of dance schools we have in this area, right? There's no outside judge of what you do. So you have to be so sincere to yourself. So you are in the responsibility of maintaining a high quality standard rests upon you completely. You have the responsibility. The audience is really clueless. They don't know anything. And anything, the moment the person gets dressed up and is dancing on stage, they'll say, it's wonderful. And they all
Yeah.
start in the clap. They all give standing ovations to everybody. So my thing is like that's the thing that I feel that I should be happy about, is that we've made sure that people know that they have to adhere to some quality, that the standards that Bharatanatyam and any classical art demands, one has to adhere to that. One has to make sure that you present that. And if you don't do that, then audiences are going to find out sooner or later. Initially, they may be okay. Oh, okay, this is fine. My daughter is getting a chance. So the question is not to just perform on stage and get a chance to perform on stage, but to learn the art with interest and with dedication, in order to get somewhere, to close, not to perfection. Nobody gets to perfection, but to learn it to maintain its standards. And that is something I feel that I have contributed a little bit, at least, for people to understand.
You're being humble. You've contributed a lot to it. Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, that's. I think I should be, happy about that.
Yes, 100%. And my last question for you, my Auntie, is do you have any message at all you would like to share with our readers, especially those hoping to follow a path like yours in dance?
I think feel that I've already answered it by saying that it's their responsibility to uphold the standards, that they have to remember that fundamentals are really important. And it's not important to just think of, props and this and that. A lot of people give a lot of attention to getting new props. And props are just props. They do not really contribute to the actual technique of the dance. So the technique of the dance is what you have to really focus on in your training, in your presentation. You focus first on that, and then all the other things like lobby decoration and stage decoration and props and all that should all be very secondary. The focus should be only on the dance, on the training and the presentation, and the integrity of the art form has to be maintained. And I think that's the message I would want everybody to have, and not worry about, what kind of a costume everybody is wearing and what kind of flowers are we using to decorate. And, a lot of things is happening right now that people are going with professional makeup artists for dressing makeup, professional lobby decorators for lobby. So the wedding world has made its way to the dance world. So they're looking at professional stage decorators, professional lobby decorators, professional makeup people, professional events also. I don't know what they do, but it's become, everything else is so much more important than the technique of the dance. So that I think there should be the focus for everybody, whoever's teaching and performing here.
That I hope everyone takes that into consideration. And I just wanted to say again, thank you so much for speaking with India Parent. I'm very confident that Abhinaya's 45th anniversary concert will be phenomenal. And
Thank you. I hope you can attend and you let us know if you need tickets and let us know. Love to see you there.
definitely, I'll be.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.